And so what we had to do is use citizens loaned their vehicles to us. And that's how we were able to get into those. So we had a very good community that helped us out, get us into the river. We did damage some of their equipment, so we are liable for paying for those repairs. And just wanted to report and tell you what happened. And it's on every paper in Arizona. It's in almost every paper in New Mexico. It's on the news channels. So I wanted you to hear it from me and know what had happened personally. But thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff Nelson.
Thank you very much, Sheriff.
Appreciate that. And thank you for what you did. Yeah, and thank you for what you did this Friday. Thank you.
And thank your people.
Please. Okay, anybody else? Okay, we'll move into our next item of business. Public Health Service District, the Board of Supervisors will convene as the Board of Directors of the Greeley County Public Health Service District and will reconvene as the Board of Supervisors. Following consideration of this next item, the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as listed.
I second that motion.
Motion has been made and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. So ordered. Now we'll reconvene as the Board of Supervisors and move into our next item of business. Flood Control District. The Board of Supervisors will convene as the Board of Directors of the Greeley County Flood Control District and will reconvene as the Board of Supervisors following consideration of this next item, the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as listed.
I second that motion.
Motion has been made and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. So ordered. Now we will reconvene as the Board of Supervisors and we'll move into our next item of business. David Manus, Public Works Roads Manager. The floor is yours, David.
Morning. My name is David Manus, Public Works Road Manager. I have two requests that I'm going to be asking for today. One's to go out for bid for the 3/8 chips for our 2025 chip seal project. The second one will be to go out for bid for the oil emulsions for our 2025 chip seal project. We're going to be chip sealing from the airport. We'll hit all the loops, Carroll Loop, Stevens Loop, Cosper Loop, all the way down the line there, Fairway. The list that I put in front of you guys, it has all the roads on it, the tonnage rates, yardage for chips, for oil. And just looking forward to doing this project. So the first one I want to start with would be the 3/8 chips, fractured chips, to go out for bid.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
I had a question, David. You mentioned that there might be the opportunity on a couple of roads to use a 5/8 chip, would that be over and beyond this, or would that of this, 2,000 tons, or would, if you were to choose the 5/8 on some of the roads, would that?
It would throw this off a little bit because the 5/8 chips, it needs a little bit more oil to hold it together because it's a bigger rock. They like the 5/8 chips where there's areas that have high traffic, semis, heavy equipment and whatnot. The downfall of it is if it's high speed traffic, it makes a lot of noise underneath your vehicle. You can really hear it as you're driving on it. But it's something that we've always wanted to try. And for this project here, if we could pull it off, we're looking at possibly putting the 5/8 chips, and our oil shot will shoot from a 0.42 of oil up to about a 0.48. So it's a little bit more pricey, but they say for the long run, it's a lot better road.
Would it make sense to open this up to just to not limit it to the 3/8 chips, but we're talking 2,000 tons. I mean, you know the roads, what needs to happen. I would just rather, if we were to change the motion to 3/8 and 5/8 chips, that way you have the leniency to be able to go do what you need to do where it makes sense.
Yeah, I think that With the housing going up on Fairway, that might be a good place to try it too, because there's a lot of traffic that just coming in and out of there as well. But
Chair. And David, I think what they're saying is, would it be best for your purposes to, instead of just 3/8, to bid 3/8 and 5/8? So that you can ask for whatever materials you think are best.
no, we'll just bid on the 3/8.
Just on the
Yeah,
3/8.
just on the 3/8.
And then we'll cross that other road down the road.
Yes, sir.
And then we're talking about roads.
Yeah. All right,
Okay.
Another quick
no
question.
pun
Oh,
intended.
yeah.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a quick question?
Got it.
Does the overlay on the 3/8 to the 5/8, is that overlaid properly? So if you have a 3/8 road and you put 5/8 on top of that, that's gonna work?
They recommend you do the 5/8 first and then the 3/8 on top of that. And it kind of feels some of those big voids and stuff from the bigger rock. The 3/8 kind of smooths it out a little bit. Like if you're going to do a double chip seal, that's what they recommend is the 5/8 on the bottom and then the 3/8 on top.
So on your golf course road, you'd have the opposite of that, correct?
On the golf course road, it's 3/8. You're talking about fairway there?
Fairway, yes.
3/8.
So if you were to go over the top of
Mhm.
5/8,
If we were to try it there, we'd put the 5/8 on top. And because it's low speed traffic, we wouldn't have to cap it with 3/8. We just do the 5/8.
sounds good.
Okay. Well, on this is an action item. I entertain for motion on this one, on A.
I move that we approve the action to bid or purchase the 3/8 fractured chips for the 225 chip seal project.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made in second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, so ordered. Okay.
This,
On to B.
the second one, I'm requesting permission to go out for bid to purchase oil emulsions, the 2025 chip seal project.
That's pretty cut and dry.
Not
So
much discussion there. I'd like to make a move that we approve the emulsion, the action to purchase the oil emulsions for the 225 chip seal project.
I'll second that.
motion has been made in second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, so ordered. Thank you, David.
All right, thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
guys.
Mr. Manus.
Okay, we'll move into our next item of business. Derek Fair, County Administrator.
Thank you. At our meeting 2 weeks ago, I talked about, a proposal to change give us more options of how we purchase vehicles. In reviewing our old policy, it limited us, to one method. In our ongoing discussions with various vendors, we're finding that the world of car purchasing is changing. In fact, when we were going through this process, Austin, I don't know how he found it, but he pointed out in one of our office meetings that you can now purchase certain brands of cars through Amazon. Which even a year ago I'd have said ain't gonna happen, but it's happening apparently. And my suspicion is that if they are successful in getting moving cars through Amazon, you're gonna see other brands move to that platform. Our old purchasing policy would not allow us to tap into that or any other methods of purchasing. The proposal I've put before you, would expand our purchasing options essentially like any other item we purchase. Bids would be part of it. We could go that direction. We could price it through lease purchase options or lease rollover options where you're a perpetual lease over cars. Somewhat like we do with our heavy equipment, but we could also look at other purchasing options that might be available to us. All of the purchasing options under the old policy would still be available to us. Bidding, state contract, purchasing cooperatives and so forth. Essentially what this would do is open up for us all options to acquire vehicles in both price range and method that makes most sense to the county at the time. And I sense that that's going to be a fluid process over the next several years. There'll be other options become available. There may be other aspects of our purchasing policy that now might be a good time to review, and we will do that on a subject meeting perhaps, but for now, the request is to have the board consider this proposed policy change for vehicles only.
Okay, anybody have any questions or concerns of Derek?
No, sir.
Well, I move that we approve of the policy change in the county purchasing policy to expand options for acquiring acquiring vehicles for county purposes.
I second that motion.
Motion has been made in second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So ordered. Okay, we'll move into our next item of business. Derek Repair.
I'll be very
Bianca.
brief. On our budget and legislative stuff, I'm gonna talk mostly about the state budget. Last week, I forget the name of it. There's a committee that belongs to the legislature. They are essentially doing revenue forecasting. It's one of they do some other things as well, but their main role at this point is revenue forecasting for the state. Whereas they expected about a $900 million surplus, that's down to about 60 million, which in a $14 billion budget is barely pocket change. That's creating some friction in how they set a budget. You recall 2 years ago, the Senate led the budget process and there was $200 million left and everybody got 20 million to spend how you want, in short. That was the Senate's approach this year as well, is basically take whatever surplus we have, divide equally by 90, and everybody gets some money to spend. With that projected revenue dropping, and we all know with what's going on right now, I think the Dow dropped about 1,000 points yesterday. It's back up where it was when I looked at it this morning. Who knows where it's at the moment? But those projections may wind up possibly in a deficit by the end of the year. So the Senate's approach of giving everybody some money to use as they saw fit is losing some steam. The House has always taken a different approach this year around. They've never bought into that approach. They want to take a more philosophical, we should fund the things we think are important and not fund the things we think are long. And as a result, that has caused some intra-party. Both parties are having internal discussions and struggles about what should we fund, what should we not, what's philosophically aligned with our political side of the aisle, but it's not. And there's disagreements. There's a lot of rancor right now. And even visiting with the legislator yesterday, that they're not very close. And as near as we can tell, there hasn't been any real meaningful discussion with the governor's office that has begun yet. We all know all three have to be on board. The Senate president told a consultant that I visit with frequently that he thought they'd be out by June 15th. The consultant smirked and smiled and said they'll be out by midnight on the 30th. Simply to say that obviously may affect our budget process. Not that we've got plenty of money to pay for our own needs and our budget is healthy. You recall about 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, we got a last minute requirement that we divvy up some money for deputies retention. And that's the kind of thing we wait for, that second shoe to drop, so to speak. Our local budget is in good shape. We'll have plenty of resources to meet our needs. We've incorporated the 3% that you recommended, and we'll come back to you at next board meeting with any other questions we may have, and also start showing what the budget looks like.
Okay,
See what happens.
It's never a dull day.
thanks, Derek. Okay, Bianca, the floor is yours.
This week, LPC on Friday, I hadn't heard that I didn't see that it was canceled. I know the last 2 were canceled. But as far as I know, LPC on Friday, the 25th.
There's a good chance it may be canceled too, simply because they're in a stall mode while they talk about budget. We can talk about sending everybody home for a couple of weeks. So there's not much new happening. So it may be canceled this week.
Going into May. Our first board meeting on the 6th, county managers on the 9th. Eco and small counties on the 14th, CSA on the 15th, our second board meeting in May on the 20th. 22nd, Morenci and Duncan junior high promotion, the 23rd, Morenci and Duncan high school graduation.
Didn't your baby boy
Very
graduate?
sad again. Very, very sad. It's coming too quick. Memorial Day, the 26th, Monday, our offices are closed for Memorial Day. That's all I have for May.
Okay.
June 3rd, our first board meeting. county managers on the thirteenth. Our second board meeting, will be on June 17th, and, that'll be, the proposed budget to adopt the tentative budget. That meeting, no small counties or CSA for the month of June. July 1st, Tuesday, board meeting. Our offices will be closed on July 3rd, Thursday, for the 4th of July. NACO conference, starts on the 11th and it goes to the 14th. Our second board meeting in July will be on the 22nd. And that'll be, we'll adopt our final budget. That meeting, no county managers will be a safe for the month of July. And that's all I have for.
Anybody have anything they want to add to that calendar?
No.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
So Derek, on,
Yes.
in May, May, June timeframe, obviously those 3 meetings. Before we adopt the tentative budget, are there going to be needs for extended work sessions or
Renee and I need to talk about that probably this afternoon and decide if we need to schedule, so we can let you know, probably by the end of the week if we need those. And if so, you asked that they be in the afternoon,
yeah,
we can do that.
I know.
And they
This guy
would
doesn't
be,
love that idea, but that would be very helpful, I think, to the.
We'll buy him some we'll get him some pizza or something.
no, it's
About a
the board's
steak.
pleasure. If you tell us here at 4 a.m, we'll come. If you tell us here at 8 p.m, we'll come.
Right.
We may be grumpy at both meetings, but we'll be here. And so in that regard, yeah, we'll let you know and schedule those. Like I said, Renee and I need to meet this afternoon and talk about what we anticipate may be needed. But we'll propose some dates out there.
Okay,
Okay?
I just wanted to keep that on the
Yes,
forefront. So we dedicated the right amount of time,
yes.
get it right.
And you have nothing, Will?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Bianca. We'll move into our next item of business, the consent agenda. Entertain for motion.
Well, I move that we approve the consent
Hold on.
agendas.
You'll probably notice that there were not minutes from the April 8th meeting. That was a review process error on my fault. I didn't get my review done. So we'll include that item on the next agenda. So you may wish to remove item A from your consent. Because
Okay,
those minutes are not perfected yet.
okay. Well, I move that we approve the consent agenda minus item 7A.
I second that motion.
Motion has been made and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, so ordered. Okay, we'll move into our next item of business, supervisor reports.
Well, sorry, Mr. Chairman. Derek, since I approved all right, here we go. Since I approved the consent agenda minus item A, do we need to then table item A for subsequent meeting? Or is that okay?
Yes,
Just skipping
it's-
over agenda item A?
You can take either approach.
Either works. Okay, then we'll leave it as, I just want to make sure.
Okay.
Sorry.
Anyone have anything to report?
I just have a small report yesterday with, I had the opportunity to go with our county manager to Eastern Arizona College. And at that time, we were able to hear Representative Siscomani. And also we had other state representatives there, David Gowen from our state representatives group. And they updated us on how the budgets are moving along in Washington and in Arizona. And updated us on some of the hot topics that are going on. But the overall feeling and spirit of it was that we're doing things now and improving our state of the both state of the state and state of the federal government to make it better. So very informative and was a very good meeting, and I'd like to thank Derek for attending with us. And Green County was very well represented there. So, but thank you. Gary was also there. So thank you, Gary, for being present. That's all I have.
What about you, Ron?
That's all I have. No, we're good.
All right, well, I have just a few things. I'll be brief. Small County was hosted by Santa Cruz, Representative Gail Griffin was there with a lot of information on water issues. Man, I'll tell you what, man, what a hot commodity. And that was Small County, eco, wolf issues. I mean, that conversation from delisting or downlisting, whatever your pleasure is a very hot topic right now. You know, along with New Mexico next to us and Arizona and all these counties up north, including us experiencing this situation with the wolf issues. The following day at CSA, before the CSA meeting, we had the director of, is it the forest? Forestry. Yeah, director of the state forestry, Tom Torres, and following him, we had the director of ADWR, Thomas Bruchowski. And I'll tell you what, gloom and doom. You couldn't get any worse than that. They're gonna both send their presentation to Craig, and he's gonna forward it to all of us because there was a lot of information that was touched on these two subjects. And, you know, we have this forest right behind us here that we gotta really be prepared for what's coming down the pike with the lack of moisture that we've had all throughout the year and with fire danger. It's not a pretty picture, but this gentleman, Tom Torres, gave a very good presentation on how he's got a handle on it and he's being proactive on in every location that's possible in the state. And that will conclude my report. And with that said, this meeting is adjourned. Well, I missed it by 16 minutes.
Well.
8:45, I said 8:45. I know we would have been done at 8:30.
Good prediction.
Okay,
Good work.
Thank